Hi, everyone. Holly Amaya here from Story Imprinting. I'm here with my fabulous business partner, Anne Marie Hoftailing. Good morning, Anne Marie.
Good morning. I look like I'm in a cabin in Vermont with this sweater, but in fact, I'm in San Diego. So,
That
it's
sweater is fierce.
it's probably like, 68 degrees. So, I need to wrap myself in this winter wardrobe.
There's a chill in the air, to be sure. We've got the
Disgusting.
May gray going on. And I mean, you could be anywhere thanks to the Zoom,
I could
right?
be anywhere. You don't know. Maybe I am in Vermont.
I'd be really jealous that you didn't take me with you. Well, thank you for joining me this morning. For those of you who are unfamiliar with what we do at Story Imprinting, we teach great companies and great people the art and science of storytelling. We have tons of professional development content on our YouTube channel. So as you're here, as you're watching this video, if you give us a like, drop us a comment on this video, and then peruse all of our other videos, you'll find tons of great little nuggets of things that you can apply to your personal life and your professional development as well. So Anne Marie, I want to talk to you today about this concept of story listening, which we refer to a lot in training. And it came to my mind because Anne Marie recently hosted a gorgeous outdoor dinner in her garden house, which is fantastic. And I feel like I need to start posting on our Story Imprinting um, Instagram some great photos from the garden house because it's such a lovely space. And it was this really lovely multi-generational dinner. I mean, there was a woman who was in her 80s who was a former dancer. There was a woman in her early 30s. My own mother was there, and several other friends of ours, all of whom have had, just very different life experiences, come from very different walks of life, very diverse in all of the ways. And it was one of the most fabulous evenings that I've had, like ever. It was so
Yeah.
great,
Yeah.
right? And I was thinking, it was such a wonderful opportunity to talk to someone who did not look like me, other than my mom, and who has had very different life experiences than I have had, and just to be really curious about them, and to ask some really open and honest questions in a supportive environment. And so that ties in a lot to what we can do as corporate citizens, right, in terms of building trust and relationships with our colleagues. So I would just love to hear your thoughts on that, and to thank you again, by the way, for that wonderful evening, and how we can sort of apply these same sort of concepts into more of a corporate environment.
Yeah, so a couple of things. First of all, I just want to say for anyone who posts anything about this, everyone was vaccinated also.
Yes.
It was to celebrate that we were all fully vaccinated with both vaccines.
Okay.
Um, One of the
Good
things
point.
that occurred to me after that dinner, and it was pretty extraordinary after being apart so long, and also the diversity of the guests, was one of the things that was sort of stolen from all of us in this pandemic and isolation are stories. We survive and thrive and share stories. It is our primary mode of bonding and connecting. And we certainly are not doing story sharing and exchanging on Zoom the
Right.
way we do when we're together and in person. And when we talk about this in training, frequently what I often say is, I invite people to listen to someone's story who does not look like you, because as we are always talking about, storytelling is the thing that creates compassion, connection, community, and cooperation. And so what happens is, in this super disconnected way, it's really hard to sort of maintain that. But one of the ways we always talk about it is think of that as an incredible team building experience. And some of the more moving and extraordinary moments I've had the privilege to witness in training is when two people do a story exchange about something that's really vulnerable, like their worst failure or time they have felt incredibly excluded. It's been some of the most transformational, moving, bonding, and revelatory moments in a corporate training room I've ever had. So I would just say for everyone, I invite you to think about, if you're still, sort of operating from a remote position, think about having a session, whether it's, a happy hour or a portion of the meeting where you do some story exchanging it cannot replicate being in the same space together, but it's a really good start. We say all the time in our training, when you leave a room, you leave the conversation, you leave a company, what remains are the stories that are left behind. And I think we're all starving to listen and to share our stories again.
Yeah, and we recently did a personal branding training for a client and had a couple of breakout rooms. Right, this was just a couple weeks ago, and I was so moved by the vulnerability of several of the participants when they came back to the larger session in sharing some personal stories that they had shared in the breakout room. They felt comfortable, and I will say that it only takes that one person to sort of like tap the egg and crack it, right? And then other people start piling on and saying, I've had that experience too, or I'm so grateful to you for sharing that. And it was remarkable to see in a Zoom environment, didn't you think? I mean,
Totally. Yeah, absolutely. I think that we don't realize how starved we all are for that kind of
yeah,
contact. And I think, we refer to it as narrative vulnerability. It's when you share a story where you are not shiny and perfect, but you are gorgeously, a messy human. And that is where all the beauty lies, is in being a messy human and your own original point of view and story and experience. Nothing replicates that to create connection and create trust, actually, and credibility. I mean, that is the heartbeat of how we build habitual trust, but we don't make space for it, and we don't know how to integrate it into this new world we're all existing in.
And I would also say, for those of you who are watching, maybe you work at like a white shoe law firm and you think there's no way they'll ever do anything like this on Zoom or in person. There are some practical takeaways for you as well. Like if you're a partner at a law firm and you are managing some associates and you're seeing that one of them is struggling in some way and maybe you don't know why, great opportunity to story share, to tell them about your own experience, coming up, and to listen to and to ask some thoughtful questions. I mean, that I guarantee that associate will follow you off the end of the earth if you take that personal investment, right? I think, having worked in a law firm environment before and knowing a lot of lawyers, working with a lot of lawyers, I think sometimes walls are up, right? Like you just think if I show any chink in the armor, if I show any vulnerability, I'm going to get eaten alive. And while maybe with the opposing counsel that might be true, I would say, you're limiting your own advancement and you're limiting the ability to mentor others if you're not using story sharing and if you're not using story listening. So that would be my contribution to this as well.
Absolutely. I totally agree with you. No question about it.
Yeah, and if you're watching this and this speaks to you and you want to know more about this, drop us a comment, like the video. You can also email us, holly@storyandprinting.com and amh@storyandprinting.com. We want to hear from you. Follow us here, follow us on LinkedIn, where Anne Marie is a prolific generator of article content. You'll note that I did not include myself in that because I'm not, but you are. And we make these videos in response to what you guys want to hear. So let us know if there are other topics that you're interested in hearing more about. And Anne Marie, thank you as always for your time. I will see you again soon.
See you soon.